Welcome to Honeybee, real stories of love, lies, and betrayal, where every truth stings. Let's begin. I believe this vacation would bring us closer, but instead, it became the moment that broke our marriage. My wife and I had been together for 10 years, and in many ways, life was good. We had 2 wonderful children who were our greatest pride, but slowly, something shifted between us. Like most parents, we got caught in the endless loop of responsibility, school runs, work deadlines, doctor visits, and everything else that came with raising kids. By the time we collapsed into bed at night, we were far too drained to talk, let alone connect in any meaningful way. Our days started to feel like they were playing on repeat. I'd wake early to get the kids ready for school while my wife handled breakfast. After work, we'd tag team dinner, homework, and bedtime routines, only to sit in silence in front of the TV until it was time to sleep. Even weekends were packed with errands and kids' activities. Somewhere in the middle of all this, we lost sight of us. It hadn't always been like this. Back when we were dating, we could talk for hours, laugh about nothing, and simply enjoy each other's company. But now, even when we had a rare quiet moment, we didn't know what to do with it. Conversations had turned into quick exchanges about bills, or who was driving the kids to soccer practice. That's when I suggested a vacation, a real break from routine, no work, no kids, just the 2 of us reconnecting like we used to. I pictured long walks on the beach, candlelit dinners, and lazy mornings where we could finally talk without interruption. I thought this trip could remind us why we fell in love in the first place. She agreed right away. Maybe she felt the same distance I did, or maybe she just wanted a change of scenery. Whatever the reason, we booked a tropical getaway, a chance to reset our relationship. I was hopeful, even excited. When we arrived at the resort that morning, the warm sun, the crash of the waves, and the sound of carefree laughter filled the air. The beach was stunning. Soft white sand stretched for miles, and the crystal clear water shimmered under the sun. For a moment, it felt like the perfect escape. Our first day was full of little joys. We strolled along the shoreline, hand in hand, letting the water splash against our feet. She giggled when a tiny crab scurried by, and I couldn't stop smiling. It was the first time in weeks I'd heard her laugh like that. That evening, we had dinner at a candlelit table overlooking the ocean. The sunset painted the sky orange and pink as we talked about how much we needed this break. For a while, it felt good, like we were reconnecting. But even then, I noticed the cracks. She spent more time on her phone than I liked, scrolling through social media or texting friends. When I invited her for a sunrise walk the next morning, she brushed it off, saying she needed sleep. It wasn't a big deal, but it stung. In the quiet moments, when there were no distractions, the distance between us became harder to ignore. I caught her staring off into the horizon more than once, her expression thoughtful, even wistful. When I asked what she was thinking about, she'd shrug and say, "Nothing important." I didn't press her, but deep down, I wondered if she was as invested in this trip as I was. Still, I held on to hope. We were here to fix what felt broken, to remember why we loved each other. I told myself the small moments of distance didn't mean anything. They were just a result of the busy lives we led. This vacation would bring us back to each other. Or so I believed. But when you ignore cracks, they don't disappear. They grow. And I was about to learn that no amount of sunsets or sandy beaches could mend what was already slipping away. One evening, the beach came alive with energy, a mix of chaos and joy. The sun dipped low, casting an orange glow across the waves. Afro-Caribbean music pounded from speakers, blending with the sound of the ocean and the bursts of laughter from the crowd gathering for the night's festivities. Vendors wove through the people, calling out offers for drinks and snacks, their colorful carts adding even more vibrancy to the scene. At the heart of it all was a makeshift stage near the water, lit by flickering tiki torches. The announcer hyped up the crowd, calling for participants for the much-anticipated dance contest. People cheered and whistled as volunteers stepped forward. My wife's face lit up with excitement, the same spark that first drew me to her years ago. She had always loved dancing, and tonight was no different. She turned to me, eyes shining. "I want to do it," she said, almost like she was asking for permission. Before I could answer, she kicked off her sandals and moved toward the stage. I didn't think much of it at first. She loved moments like these, being in the spotlight, feeding off the crowd's energy. I stayed back, drink in hand, watching her with a faint smile. The announcer greeted her enthusiastically, handing her a numbered sash. The crowd cheered as she climbed onto the stage. I couldn't help but chuckle softly. This was so her. Then he appeared, her dance partner. He was a young, charismatic local with a confident stride and an easy smile. His athletic build and effortless movements made it seem like he belonged on that stage. He bowed playfully, making my wife giggle, and from that moment, it was as if I no longer existed. They started dancing. He twirled her with ease, making her laugh and blush. At first, I told myself this was good. She deserved to have fun. But as the dance went on, a knot formed in my stomach. The way he held her waist, the way she leaned into him. It was too much. I clapped at the crowd, but I felt like I was somewhere else entirely. The music, once joyful, now sounded mocking. I couldn't look away. Every laugh, every lingering touch felt like a knife to the chest. Was this really about the dance? Or was it everything we've been avoiding? The silence, the distance, the way she looked for validation anywhere but with me? When the song ended, the crowd roared with applause. I only felt anger. I walked up to her, trying to stay calm. "Can we talk?" She frowned but followed me a few steps away. "What are you doing?" I asked, my voice unsteady. "This doesn't feel right. I think you should stop." Her expression shifted from confusion to defiance. "What's the big deal?" she snapped. "It's just a dance. We're on vacation. Can't I have a little fun?" I tried to explain how it made me feel, but she didn't seem to care. "We're married," she said sharply, "but you don't own me. You're not going to tell me what to do." Her words hit me like a slap. I wasn't trying to control her. I just wanted her to understand how much it hurt. But in that moment, I realized she didn't care. This wasn't just about the dance. It was about how disconnected we had become. I gave her one final warning. "If you go back out there and dance with him again, I won't be here when you come back." She laughed like I was joking, then turned and walked back to him. The music started again. I stood there, watching her spin and smile with a man we barely knew, and I finally admitted to myself what I've been denying for years. Our marriage had been broken for a long time. That dance wasn't the cause. It was just the last straw. I turned and walked back to the hotel. No shouting, no scene, just quiet. She didn't even notice I was gone. Back in our room, the silence was crushing. I began packing my things without thinking. I didn't have a plan, no destination, no idea what I would do next, only that I couldn't stay. I couldn't keep watching her choose a moment with a stranger over the man she promised forever to. My hands trembled as I booked a taxi to the airport. As I zipped up my suitcase, it hit me I wasn't just leaving the resort. I was leaving the dreams we built, the life we created, the woman I thought was my forever. But I also knew I deserved more. Not perfection, not some fairy tale, but someone who chose me, who saw me. When the taxi arrived, I climbed in, feeling the weight of everything I was leaving behind. And for the first time in years, I also felt clarity. Sometimes letting go is the only way to find yourself again. When I got home, the silence in the house felt heavier than ever. It wasn't the peaceful quiet after a long day. It was a hollow silence of something missing. Her presence, her laughter, the faint music she always had playing. Gone. I sat on the couch, staring at the empty spot where she used to sit with her phone or a book, and the memories came rushing back. How we met, how her smile lit up every room, how we used to talk for hours about our dreams. Back then, we felt unstoppable, like nothing could tear us apart. But somewhere along the way, we stopped being us. Work, kids, bills, everything got in the way. Conversations became quick exchanges about schedules and groceries. Our connection got buried under years of routine and neglect. I couldn't stop replaying the moment on the beach when she laughed at me. "You don't own me." Those words cut deep. She hadn't felt free in our marriage for a long time, and I hadn't seen it. Maybe I had been holding too tightly, trying to control things when all she wanted was space. But it wasn't just what she said that hurt. It was that she turned and walked right back to the dance floor, to a stranger who made her laugh in ways I hadn't in years. That image stayed burned in my mind. I realized I had been holding on to an idea of our marriage that no longer existed. The truth was, we had been broken for a long time, pretending we were fine. I thought about the good times, birthdays, vacations, nights we stayed up talking. I wanted to hold on to those memories, but they felt like sand slipping through my fingers. Love wasn't enough to fix what had fallen apart. Sitting there in the quiet, I felt sadness of the life we had built, but also relief that I no longer had to fight for something that couldn't be saved. It wasn't anger. It was acceptance. Sometimes, no matter how much two people share, they drift too far apart to find their way back. I didn't know what the future would hold, but I knew I couldn't keep living in a marriage that felt like a battle. Leaving her on that beach wasn't just about the dance. It was about reclaiming my sense of worth. Yes, it hurt to let go, but maybe, just maybe, this was the beginning of something better for both of us. After the trip, her life took a different path. At first, she didn't seem to grasp how serious this was. When she came home, she was met with an empty house. Our house, now stripped of my presence. She called me several times that first week, her voice full of frustration and disbelief. She didn't understand why I left, why I couldn't just come back and pretend nothing had happened. I tried to explain, tried to make her see this wasn't just about a dance. It was about years of feeling unseen, of watching her seek validation from everyone but me, of living in a marriage where the cracks were too big to ignore. Eventually, the calls stopped. Maybe she finally accepted that it was truly over. She stopped asking me to return and began focusing on her own life. And as for me, all that mattered now were the kids. That dance may have been the final straw. But the truth is, our marriage had ended long before she ever stepped onto that stage.